So I have two variables left to solve for here, so I need to figure out another relationship or two relationships. So one of my relationships is going to be, well, I'm just going to plug my x and y in because I can always do that. X and y can always be plugged back into the equation and into any relationship, okay, and it'll always be true. The other thing here is the other relationship is this. I know that my b over a value is my slope. Okay. Now I don't know what b and a is, but I do know my slope is 2 over 3. Okay. Now we could put absolute value around that, but essentially it's 2 over 3. I don't know. I can't say that b is 2, a is 3. However, what I can say is I can say that 2n over 3n is equal to b over a. If that's the case, I can replace my a and b with just one variable n. And so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to just set this up like this. So I have x plus 1 squared over, and I'm going to now use, instead of a, I'm going to use 3n. I think I have the color backwards, but I'm going to do this like this. It's going to be 3n squared. So that a is actually in blue, b is red. Okay, and then for the y part, I have y minus 3 squared all over, and that's going to be the b squared is going to be 2n all squared. Okay, and then that's equal to -1. So now I have just the variable n to solve for when I substitute for my x and y. I've been given the coordinate, x is 2, y is root 8 plus 3, so I'm going to plug that in. So x is 2, so I get 2 plus 1 squared over 9n squared minus root 8 plus 3 minus 3 squared, and this is going to be over 4n squared equals, and that's -1, it's equal to -1. Okay, so there's my expression. I just have n to solve for. I'm going to get rid of the denominator here by multiplying through by 36n squared. Okay, so I end up with 9 minus square root 8 squared is 8. Okay, and that's going to equal -36n squared. Okay, so that looks like looks about right. Okay, just double checking my work here. Oops, no, I made a little bit of an error here. Okay, so I have to redo this again because when I multiply by 36n squared onto here, I'm left with 4. Okay, 36 over 9 is 4, and then I end up with 3 squared. I shouldn't skip so many steps. And then 36 over 4 is 9, and then I'm left with square root 8 squared, and that's going to then be equal to my -36n squared. There we go. That looks a bit better. So here I end up with 36, 9 times 4. Here I go minus, this is going to end up being 8 times 9 is 72, and that's equal to -36n squared. So I get -36 equals -36n squared, so n squared equals 1, n equals plus minus 1. Okay, so we can say that the n value is 1. So that was a lot of work to establish that a was 3, b is 2, but we need to do that because without that we don't know what the actual values of a and b are. Okay, so then if I want to write my equation, then my final equation is going to look like this: x plus 1 squared over 9 minus y minus 3 squared over 4 equals -1. There's my final equation. I can now graph this because I know it's a trans y, I know my vertex is going to be, 2 up, 2 down. Okay, so it's trans y. So this coordinate here, I'm just going to move my center coordinate. Just going to move that over here. Okay, so then that point, okay, so that point is going to be there. My x and y coordinates of my vertices, so that vertex is going to be at -1, +1. Okay, this vertex here is going to be at -1, and I think that's +5. And then with my vertex and my asymptotes, I can sketch in that graph. Okay, it's going to go through that red dot, which was the coordinate that we were given in the initial problem. Okay, so there it is. There's my graph. Okay, it's kind of lopsided a little bit. I should probably put my coordinate a little bit closer here, and then I can draw a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so there's my graph. My equation was, I solved for my center, my A and B values. Okay, figured out this trans y based on the test of the point on the line, that orange point on my asymptote, which I calculated as 5, and I worked out that the red dot given was above 5. So that's how I got my trans, and then I solved for the rest of that, solving for A and B values. There are a few different ways, but here I used this relationship b over a equals 2 over 3, and I then made it into 2n over 3n so that I can just solve for one variable.